And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this evening. We have a magnificent guest with us tonight, one who is going to give us some amazing information as well as inspiration. And that is none other than the frontline soldier, activist, believer, and overcomer, definitely someone who we look forward to hearing his testimony and giving us some positive motivation. That is none other than Brother Delmont. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Alaikum assalam, sir. Pleasure to
Yes,
be
sir.
here.
Wonderful. We are honored on behalf of myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast. We want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come have a conversation with us. The first question that we would like to know is, when did you first hear the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, sir?
Before I get started, if it's okay, I'd like to, in the name of love and mercy, I'd like to salute my my imam, Brother Salam, Master number 6. I'd like to salute my Brother Captain Andrew Muhammad, and all my lieutenants who allow me to, one, do this and allow me to continue the work that I started behind the wall. So I first encountered the Nation of Islam, I'm gonna say around in maybe 1990. Uh, it's a strange kind of story because I encountered the brothers from a different perspective. They at this time they were cleaning up the community, I'll say. So they would they had came onto a drug street. Of course, I was a kid, but I looked up to the drug dealers of that era, and they came onto the neighborhood and essentially told the brother that they could not no longer sell drugs on these particular corners, and that the sisters could no longer prostitute themselves. And I was like, what? Like, who are these guys in the boat, man? They don't get, man, I'm young and I'm ignorant. I'm like, you kidding me? Like, man, y'all talking to gangsters. And Lord always knows best. And I said then I encountered them from a perspective of my day. Men always been attracted to men. So they essentially took over that corner. Started selling bean pies and final calls all up and down North Avenue from Potley Grove all the way up to Bloomingdale. And it attracted me because I always been a respecter of men. So it attracted me to start coming around, hanging around. I began selling bean pies, final calls. Met the minister. What a lot of people don't know is one of the brothers that's pioneers in the nation, Brother Gregory. He was one of those soldiers back then. And I met the minister. Of course, I didn't know who he was at that time. Like, man, he talked too much. I'm trying to go. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to get these baby pies, final call, get it, because I always been a hustler. I always been a go-getter. I was pumping gas, wiping windows, carrying bags, you name it. We was doing it. And that was my first encounter of the nation before I fell farther into the street life and became essentially detached from it until I landed in prison.
Mm. Okay, yes, sir. Well, we're gonna go back. We're gonna go back to the origin story. Thank you very much. Praise be to Allah. Welcome salam, brother Hamza. Please give the greetings to your family as well, and please let your grandmother know she is an angel. We want to know, sir, is when you met the minister, how did that come about?
So I can't remember the exact tour, but the minister came to the Baltimore City Arena, and we was just selling bean pies and final calls. We was little young brothers in the neighborhood. So we wasn't FOIs, junior FOIs enough. We was just, the brothers took a liking to us because we was essentially the neighborhood. We was essentially the future. Although we didn't know what they was trying to do at that time. I don't. They knew that they was planting seeds that for some of us, like myself, would eventually end up taking root. So when we went down there, the minister came into the room. We was in the back. Greg walked into the stands, and he came into the room, and they was like, I didn't even remember what they called him back then. Like I would be honest, I would be lying if I said I knew his name or anything, because I essentially really was just there to try to hustle to get the money to court out the final call and stuff like that. So he came in and he was talking to us, and I'm just standing there like, man, he talking about, what is he talking? I'm trying to sell these papers and go. Mm-hmm. Never knew who he was until, like I said, years later, until I landed in prison, when I realized that I had met God's man. I didn't even know. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't even know that and now, but like I say, Allah knows best, so I just didn't know. But that's how it came about. We was down there soldiering for the Nation of Islam brothers, and they was getting us to do for ourselves, further do for ourselves. Cause we was selling, selling. They was trying to keep us off the corners and keep us from following the neighborhood drug dealers.
Hmm. Beautiful. Yes, sir. Okay. Well, how did you go from selling the final call in the bean pies to ending up in prison?
Oh man, the street has a gravitational pull, and I'll often think about some of the words of the minister, like so I was infatuated with the life. I had a thing like from when I was young, watching my brothers, watching all my older cousins, I was infatuated with the street life. So, but I always excelled to be like the best in any room that I was in. So when I once I delved deep into the street life, I mean, you know how it goes. It's either death or prison. So it's like predator or prey out there. So I just continued all the way up into, I racked up a countless number of juvenile offenses, and it was only long before I graduated to the what they call the big leagues. I wasn't never really smart at school. Nobody never really took like the time to really realize that I could not read nor write. I pick up very fast. So if you show me something or you say something to me, I learn it, and it appeared like that it appeared like I was more educated than I was. But I always was a leader and a good follower. And essentially I end up catching a case, I end up catching a homicide, getting convicted and sentenced to life plus, along with my co-defendant who was in it that they've been who was innocent, Frank Lance.
Yes, sir. Now, when you are sentenced to life, many court cases are now, you can see on your phone. My sisters and I, we watch, keep up with celebrity cases, regular cases. You can see from the beginning of the trial to the end. You can see when the DA, how they're trying to catch the person on the stand, and then you see the judge give the verdict. When you receive the verdict, what went through your mind?
So for me, it was kind of different because I kind of really thought everything was a joke, and I know it, and I don't want to sound like naive to what was going on, but I kind of at that time when I got found guilty, I'm just like, they can't sentence me to life. I'm a kid. And once they sentence me to life, I'm like, well, I'm gonna give this back. So when I got sentenced, the only thing I was really thinking about at that time was the women in my life, my mother and my daughter's mother, and I to see them hurt, for me, because I felt like I had played the game by all the rules. Everything that the guys that I looked up to had taught me, I played by the rules, even when they chose no longer to play by those rules. So I played. So I kind of felt like it was a part of the street life. Even, I mean, to be honest, even before then, I used to say things like, that's how you really realize that words really created themselves. I used to say things like, when I get to jail, nobody better not try to take nothing from me. Not like if, like it was just, I felt like it was just a matter of when. I kind of knew I was going to jail. I thought it was a part of being a man, coming into manhood. So I kind of was more so worried about the people that I cared about. And in fact, when I got found guilty, my daughter mother, she burst out in tears and ran out of the courtroom. I couldn't even look at her. Man, to this day, probably the only person that knows, other than a few people, that I actually shed a tear once I got in the bullpen is my rap buddy. To see them hurt. And my mother, as I was leaving the courtroom, I'll never forget these words. My mother said to me, I had my head down, I'm cuffed, I had my head down a little bit, and my mother called me and said, Delmont, and I looked back, and she said, pick your head up. You will be back. And I smirked. I smiled at her a little bit. I say, you know, yeah, yes, ma'am. And, you know, I went on, you know, went on about my business, you know, not knowing that, you know, she had a relationship with law that, you know, that she knew better than I did at that time, you know. Yeah.
Praise be to Allah. Beautiful. Yes, sir. Okay. Shout out to your mother and man for those encouraging words. People are showing you love all around the world. Peace, God, to Javon Lewis, our brother Houston, out of Houston boys. Thank you for always showing love. And thank you to Brother Hamza and Sister Glorious. People are bearing witness. Wonderful. People are showing love. Thank you all very much. My next question for you, sir, is when you are in prison, you're in the, you're in a cell. How are you able to stay sane and keep faith for 25 years that you will be free?
No, so at so many points throughout my incarceration, like I never thought that I would be free because and, you know, and I say this humbly, and, you know, anybody that know me can bear witness to this. I became probably one of the worst prisoners in the Maryland state system. You know, I got sent in 2007. I was sent out of the state of Maryland. The governor declared a state of emergency. I was sent out of the state of Maryland as one of Maryland's most violent and disruptive prisoners. You know, these things, I don't say these things are documented. So when I came into the system, I ran wild. You know, I'm young, I'm naive, I don't know how to read, I don't know how to write. All I know is that nobody's forcing me to do nothing. Nobody's making me be a part of anything. I'm doing me. I got life. I feel like I'm a dying prison. Everybody telling me I'm a dying prison because, you know, I was convicted of killing a Caucasian. I was convicted at a young age. I couldn't read. I didn't know how to write. I didn't know how to study the law. You know, fortunate I did have a brother that's like an uncle to me by the name of Walter Lomax, who I love very dearly, that was determined to help me get out of prison. And so when I hit the prison system, man, I hit the prison system hard. And so I caught multiple stabbing charges, multiple assaults on officers. I caught street time. I was charged with murder. Like I had a run. You know, I was in and out of Baltimore City, Supermax, back and forth from lockup, admin, you know, knife fights. And again, I don't say that. You know, I say that, just to not from being proud about, you know, the ignorance. I just say that to let people know like the depths from where I climbed from, like how deep and steep I was in the mud. Like my mind was like essentially just dark. You know, I didn't understand. I communicated through violence because I couldn't level up in conversation. So if you can out-talk me, I stab you. If you can outsmart me, I stab. I felt like violence even the playing field for me. So, and that's how I hit the system. And I always tell people, you know, when I came in the system, you know, you got all kind of organizations that exist and, you know, guys doing what they doing. But I always realized early that it wasn't about like who went the hardest. It was like who went the distance. And everybody know that like I would go the distance, right? Like I would put my life on the line, you know, because I felt like they had taken everything from me. All I had left was my reputation. And I would give my life or take a life to preserve that because I felt like that was all I had. Then they came in and took the clothes. So I'm like, they took my identity, you know? So being going back and forth on lockup, I taught myself how to read, you know, reading urban novels, you know, and then I started reading like Dane Combs. And I was infatuated with the gangster thing, man. Like, so I started reading all the gangster books. And then I'm realizing like these guys were snitchers and everything else. Like, this is crazy. So I went through that phase, and then I went through the revolutionary phase. I started reading all the George Jacksons and Jonathan Jackson and the Side of Shakur and the Lane Brown's Taste of Power. You know what I'm saying? And Johnny Smith, I started reading about Matula Shakur and all these, you know what I'm saying? And then I got into I started reading about Fidel Castro, and you know what I mean? So I'm reading all these different things, and all of them, Gandhi. I'm seeing sprinkles. I'm hearing sprinkles of the minister. You know, they mentioned in the minister. You know, so and then the one thing that remained consistent throughout my entire being, and I know now that the law was sparing me, the law was preparing me. You know, a lot of people say, you know, you survive. I say, no, I thrive. Right. The one thing that remains consistent was that the fact that every institution I've been through, every state I've been to, and I've been over 5 different states serving time during that 25 years. the Nation of Islam was small but powerful. And what I mean by powerful, not in a sense like, you know, they was doing nothing different, but you can distinguish them. We all had on the same clothes, but I can point a Nation of Islam brother out across the yard. It only be 2, 3 of them in the whole yard, on the whole yard. 2,000 people, 2, 3 Nation in it, but they were sincere. They was disciplined, they was dedicated, and I was always attracted to it. So I used to go to, now granted, I'll tell you the story once we get to that part, but the first time I went to a service, the brothers patted me down and found my weapon, right? The brother actually come to the service, they found my knife, and we went back. And I said, bro, I'm not disarming myself for none of y'all. And he said, brother, I invited you down here, you protected. The brothers, I'm like, man, there's 2 guys in here. Like, what are y'all gonna stop, man? I be beefing with these dudes and it's all the guys, man, I'm not, you know, and they like, brother, it's good in here. I'm telling you by law, I'm telling you, I'm backed by more than you know. They talk that talk. I'm like, man, I don't know what you know. So, but that's another story. But yes, sir, that's what helped me stay sane, reading, and you know, I always could live with myself. You know, I lost a lot of friends of mine behind those doors. You know, brothers that you know went crazy back there, became paranoid, schizophrenic. And I'm not saying I'm not damaged, right? You know, let's be clear. I'm not saying I'm not damaged. Like I don't have little things that, you know, that I may do because of that time. But I think Allah preserved me back there. I think by me being back there a lot of times, and even then, again, kudos to my mother, man. She told me one time I was in the Baltimore City Supermax. She said, baby, I love when you behind the door. And I said, man, why would you say that? I'm 23 months. She said, because I know you can't get into nothing. And I know that you are a loyal friend. And I know that anything that's going on, you'll run to it, even if the people that you support ain't gonna run to it. So when I know you here, I know you protected. And so, you know, so yeah, kudos to her again for that. She was instilling that wisdom in me my entire ride. And then, like I said, you know, that's what helped me. That's what helped me because it took me a long time to get to the point of, you know, submitting to the teachings and like a long time. A lot of people think I've been doing this for a long time, but I really only submitted a few years before I came out.
Yes, sir. Okay. Well, praise due to a lot. May we have your mother's name, sir?
Oh, my mother's name is Linda Olivia Player. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Salute to your mother. Yes, sir. Okay. So, well, speaking of not just your mother coming to see you, was there anybody else who would visit you to help keep your spirit up?
Yeah. So over the years, I had quite a few people that would come see my brothers, of course. You know, I got a close knit family. So my cousin Missy, salute to her. I love her to death. My cousin Tanika, my cousin Yolanda, my cousin Wheat. So it was a couple family members, you know, that came through, you know what I mean, that came through for me and supported me, you know, my children's mother, my children, my nieces, nephews. Okay, you know, okay. I you know, they kept me sane and kept me alive, you know what I mean? You know, so yeah, you know, salute to them. It was the times that all I had was a visit, and then you know, I met a few sisters throughout the years that you know that came and you know showed love, and I always salute them for that. Even though you know what come with me and came to what it came to, I do salute them for for giving up years, sometimes in some cases years of their life, you know, to support me when it was really nobody knew if I was ever gonna make it out.
Yes, sir. Beautiful, beautiful. Excellent. Welcome salam to Miriam. Thank you very much, and everybody who's showing love from around the world. When you are, you said they took your clothes. Do you mean they put like the orange jumpsuit, like your stripes? Or like, what do you mean take your clothes?
Yeah. So in 2001, because of the violence in the Maryland, so I was in the cut, which at that time next to the penitentiary was considered the most. The penitentiary was being shut down, so the Maryland house, what they called it, the cut, hence the name, was the most notorious prison in the state of Maryland. So what they did was, because people were getting robbed for their clothes, you know, we wearing street clothes, like we dressing better than guys in the streets. So they came in there and they confiscated our clothes. They took all our street clothes and gave us DOC jeans and shirts. So they essentially made everybody dress alike. And that's what I mean when I say they snatched my identity, because, you know, for me, I'm in there, I'm just coming in, and I'm the youngest, me and my co-defendant, Frank, we're the youngest guys in the institution at the time, next to a few of my homeboys. We the youngest guys inside the institution. So, you know, we just coming out of the street. So we fresh, we Timberland this, Maurice Malone, Polo, everything that's popped at that time, we in it. So, and then, like I said, a lot of people didn't have the heart to get those $2,000-3,000 worth of clothes sent in because guys was getting their stuff taken. Guys was robbing dudes as soon as he come out the property room, like taking a whole package, TVs ready, like it was bad, man. Like it was dog eat dog. When I first came into the system, and it didn't matter who you was. You know what I'm saying? Of course, there's always an exception to the rule. Some guy connected to some guy, but I didn't come to prison with no uncles, no big homeboys. I'm the first in my generation. I'm the first in my family, to hit the prison system. And, sadly, I paved the way for my cousins in that came in years later. They came in saying my name. Yeah, that's my little cousin, I my blood, sweat, and tears painted the prison system. I lost a lot. Visits with families, property damage, and all that stuff. Trying to saying it, just refusing to lay down for anybody for any reason. So that's what I mean when I say they snapped. They took our identity because I didn't at that time. You got to think I don't have no aim. I don't have no vision. I don't have no purpose. I don't have no identity. You understand? When you live in that life as a gangster, that's you think that is your identity. You know what I'm saying? But when you really look at the essence of it, you realize it's not, because if I can ask 20 people what a gangster is and all of them say something different, the reality is it doesn't exist. It's an illusion. But if I ask you what's a Muslim, what's an FOI, what's the MGT, what's a Christian, then you have a foundation that you can stand on. And in the street life, when I'm saying these things, now I realize why I went through so much of it, because it doesn't stop. You got to keep putting on. Every 6 months, a new young breed of gangsters or guys that think they something coming to the institution ready to make a name for themselves. So you got to get down or lay, you got to get down with them or lay down. And that's how you keep the name alive. And I went through that for 20 years. And it still ain't off. It still ain't informed me nothing, but I still got to go lay the next little kid down because they coming in, they young. They got heart, they fearless, they reckless. And I'm saying like bro, I'm seasoned vet. But again, it just goes to show that, the ignorance that once you get into it, if you don't get out of it, like, you dead. I mean, that's facts.
But yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Thank you for your transparency. We want to stay right there. So, of course, movies, television, family members, we all study, it's a fascination with prison and jail, trying to avoid it and scare straight, from however, people try to avoid it. But as a man, it seems like you got to fight to protect your manhood type situation. What advice would you give to the young brothers about just staying away, period? But those who go to jail, how is it day to day? You got to fight like somebody is it a sissy thing, or like how you stay strong? Like how you don't let nobody take you?
So one of the rules of the prison system is you only entitled to what you're willing to protect, right? So I got a friend of mine who always used to tell me the cruelest lie is the one told in silence, right? So I say this. Hopefully you can avoid prison at all costs, because it really don't mean that. I told the little young brother the other day, I say, listen, I can tell you what's going to happen. You're going to do what you do. You're going to go to jail. You're going to go to trial. You're going to blow trial. They're going to sentence you. They're going to knock your brains off. They're going to send you up north, brand. All the stuff that you say you into, God's going to put it to the test. You're going to run it up, put work in, and then 25 years later, it's going to mean you absolutely nothing. And that's facts. When you go in there, the best thing to do is stay in your lane. Mind your business. Stay focused on what it is that you're trying to do, getting out. If you're a writer, surround yourself around. That don't mean be no punk. I never promote for a guy to be a punk. And I think one of the biggest reasons why a lot of stuff runs amok in the prison system, gangs, different religious groups, it's because men don't follow punks. I mean, and that's just real. Like, men do not follow punks. This is why I used to when I didn't understand them, but I understand now why so many men who are followers of Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I love this man to death. And I'm saying, and I'm not just talking about men that's FOIs.
Yes, sir. Yes,
I'm
sir.
talking about, you know what I'm saying? I'm talking about men who are considered warriors, who are considered gladiators in the prison system, who are considered some of the most notorious gangsters to ever walk the streets of Baltimore that I personally know, that follows the minister, that listens to the minister. You know what I'm saying? That reads up on the minister, that know everything they is and know that granted they still steeped in their ignorance because they haven't got there yet. But men don't follow punks. So when you have a guy who is a weak guy with a strong word game, then yeah, he may dangle the little kids' ears for a minute, but at the while they running them up. They don't care because they don't reach because they realize they can take them. I personally surpassed 99% of the guys that I looked up to. And it wasn't because I wanted to. Like I never set out to surpass the guys that I looked up to. I honestly set out to be just like them, right? But because they failed and faltered in the things that they taught me, it's how I surpassed them by default. Because one thing I have never been is I've never been a hypocrite. And when you teach me something, I learn it and I live it with my life. So when it was time to live up to things, we don't say nothing, we don't sign nothing. But when they got in the rooms, they went against that. I didn't. Right? Man, we loyal to our friend, man. You my brother. We don't step with each other toe. But when I went to prison, they went after my girlfriend. Right? So when man, my brother's keeper, man, you my brother. But when I went to prison, these dudes walked past my mother like she don't even exist. Like when I was home, she didn't allow guys to sleep in her house. Call him her son. We wore the same clothes, the same shoes. But then when I went to prison, guys just moved on with their life almost as if I never exist. So when you gotta sit with that, right? And you sit with that and you saying, man, like I really gave my entire life to these streets. And that's what I always tell these little brothers. Like I gave my life to these streets, brother. And it ain't get me nothing, man. All the guys that told me they was gonna keep it real, they disappeared. All the women that told me how much they love me, they disappeared. In the end, when I got to the point when I realized that I didn't need nothing else but a law, it was over. Like it was over. I always been fearless. I always been ready to, challenge the status quo. But when I got to that point when I say, man, like I can do this. Like I ain't got to be on the phone accepting what you're doing because I need a money order. I ain't got to be on the phone accepting what you're doing because I need you to set my call and make a 3. No, I can do this. And then, like I said, the closest thing I ever had to a law before I had a law was my mother. And that woman, man, that woman there, man. And I'm her, man. Like, this is why I honor her. And I'm so happy that she was still here when I got here, I honor this woman. I love her. You know what I mean? I strive daily to put a smile on her face. I enjoy being in her company.
Beautiful.
And so I just tell the brothers, like, the best thing you can do to avoid any of that is stay out of prison. Because I'm telling you, once you get in, that thing is like a stain. It stick on you. And now it's even worse. Because the fight is more mental nowadays. Everybody's strung out on drugs. When you can be on a tier where 95% of the tier is strung out on drugs, and not just regular drugs, but medication. Like they medicate you in there. Brother say his knee hurt and they give him something called Neurotins. His back hurt, they give him Neurotins. His arm hurt. I'm saying, brother, how is all y'all getting the exact same medication for multiple different problems? Come on now. Like, as y'all say nowadays, make that make sense for me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that's what I tell them. If you go in there, keep your head down, mind your business, and focus on getting out. But the best thing to do to avoid all that is, man, don't come nowhere near. Because I'm telling you, and I was one of the wildest ones that they know. And I'm telling you now, it ain't worth it. I'll show you that. That definitely ain't worth it. I'll tell you that.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Excellent. If people showing you love in the comments, thank you very much. We have a brief 60-second commercial break for all of the sponsors of the People's Podcast. We are grateful for every like, share, and subscription to the People's Podcast. Thank you all for every super chat, every anonymous cash app. We truly appreciate it. Please let us know which city, state, and or country you all are watching from. Second. There we go. Live with the People's Podcast.
Street Premier Media Production. He has a 4K camera and a drone. He does television and film editing. Please reach out if you need any of that. Sister Naima, Stay On Point Dance Academy. She teaches ballet virtually to young girls all across the country. Sister Miriam, ABC I Love Me children's book and coloring book. My father's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ. My two books, Cleopatra, which is a children's book, and No Father, No Excuse, both of which are available on Amazon.
Wonderful. And to everyone who is watching, if you all have a guest suggestion, by all means, please put those in the comments. We truly appreciate your acknowledgement. Yes, sir. I recently saw on TikTok a daughter telling the story of her father being shot by someone, his co-worker. And the co-worker went to prison. And a part of that program, he got sentenced like 25 to life. 18 years into it was a forgiveness program, where the family went in and they got to meet with him, take pictures, and there was a whole forgiveness. It was a whole process, people crying, to try basically an atonement thing for her all those years to negotiate with the family. Did you ever have to deal with a forgiveness program or anything like that? Was that a part of your sentence?
Yes, sir. So it's funny because I literally just I did a table in the day for what we were just fortunate enough to get a bill passed in the state of Maryland called the Second Look Act. And we just did I'm a part of one of the people and teams that I work for is the Second Look Coalition. And so after 20 years, after an individual does 20 years who court their sentence before the age of 25, he has an option. He or she has an opportunity to petition the court for a lighter sentence, modification, sentence reduction, et cetera, et cetera. And because in big part is based on the brain science, that the brain doesn't fully develop until the age of 25. So in my own particular case, one of the biggest things that one of the judges had pounced on me before is about like, Delmont, I see your passion, I see your change, but I don't see your remorse. And I had to literally humble myself and write her and tell her that she was absolutely right, because I didn't understand remorse in that way at that time. I understood remorse coming from a street life of, you lost somebody you love, I lost somebody I love, so I know what it's like. But it wasn't until I got that empathy to actually put myself in their shoes to be able to understand the damage and the destruction that I had caused, not only to them, but also to my own family, to my own self. So, one of the first things I did, and a lot of people, unless they were in court, don't know this. When I was initially recommended for parole under a lie, I lied and said it out, because like I said, I was raised that we don't say nothing, we don't sign up. So I went in there, I'm declaring my innocence. I ain't know nothing, And I was still recommended for parole because of the things that I had achieved and the accomplishment, because I was sincere about what I was doing. But that lie, you can't mix the truth with falsehood. Yeah. So what happened was I wrote the parole board before they came down with the decision and told them that I had lied to them, that I actually was not only involved, but actually responsible for the crime, and that my co-defendant, who they didn't know, but the officers and stuff knew back then, had absolutely nothing to do with it. It was nowhere even, I don't know, it was nowhere near me when but that's a whole nother story. But nonetheless, and I confessed to them that I'm willing to accept whatever the consequences are for my actions. And then when I was able to go to court, maybe a year later, I was actually able to unburden myself, because that was a hinderment to my growth and development. Like, here it is, you got a brother doing all these things, all these positive things. I'm beginning to teach. I'm beginning to mentor. I'm walking a positive light. I'm promoting positivity. I'm promoting freedom, justice, equality. I'm promoting love, understanding, happiness, and all these different things, but I'm still living this lie. So it was hindering my progression. So I had to unburden myself. So when I was afforded the opportunity to speak the truth, I did. I gave the family closure. I explained to them what happened, why it happened, and how it happened. I cleaned up a lot of misunderstandings, because in the court system, in the judicial system, you know, you hear one thing, and then before you know it, it's so many different stories out there of what had took place, you know, on the night that I was arrested, on the night that the crime happened, and so on and so forth. So I was able to clear those things up, and I essentially told all I asked for, I asked for not so much mercy, but a second chance, another opportunity, you know what I'm saying, to go out here to clean up a lot of dirt that I had laid down over the years, you know, and like I told him, whether it was here, whether it be out here or out there, I was going to continue to do the work because I had become a soldier in Muhammad's army, and it wasn't nothing or nobody that can change that. It was challenges, because when you create a reputation for being a particular individual, and then you come back onto some of these locations and you're asking guys to say, yeah, I know I did what I did, but I'm telling you, I'm a new person. And you asking people to stand down, and some of them saying, you know, they want to chat, and I'm saying, listen, brother, I'm taught to never be the aggressor in words, actions, or deeds. But in the event that I'm attacked, I have all the right to defend myself. And I'm telling you that we were both living a particular kind of life. You know what's going on, I know what's going on. I'm telling you, I'm no longer that guy. But consistency, alhamdulillah, all praise be to Allah, consistency showed the people, even some of my former foes, that no, this brother is exactly who he say he is. Like, this brother don't say one thing and then go do another. I don't say doing, then I go back bite my brother. I don't say one thing and promote, oh yeah, you know, I used to do this. You know, I did this to him. I don't do that. We have a conversation. We talk like men, and I say, brother, like, I'm no longer that guy. I can't tell you what to do. I'm asking you, though, to please, you know, spare me, you know, because I was ignorant. I was dumb, deaf, and blind. You know, easy led in the wrong way, hard to lead in the right. But I'm a different person now. I move different. Everything I don't even step out. I don't even step out the cell without an aim and a purpose. I just move. I don't just move. Everything calculated now. So, and you know, alhamdulillah, you know, and before long, that consistency paid off, and people saw that, yeah, the brother is really changed, and you know, they spared me. You know.
Beautiful. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Excellent. People bear witness all around the world. Walaikum salam, brother Braden from Mosque number 74, holding it down. Indianapolis holding it down. Muhammad Mosque number 80. Brother Michael, thank you for always showing love, and everybody who continues to send positive energy to our guests. Thank you very much. I wanted to ask you, there is a man named Charleston White who speaks about his time in jail when he was younger and how he had a brush with Islam and how he learned, like, his coming of age story. Now he's older, plays a character, of course, when he's doing interviews, but he talked about how important it was for him to be in jail because of how reckless he was during that time before the frontal lobe fully is developed. When you under 25, the quote, why ends, end quote, what can be done if you said you were in prison, you saw them coming in, you know, they reckless, they trying to prove themselves, they outside too, and they in the jail. What can be done with them? Everybody who's not coming to the nation, I know, join the FOI, make all men and boys join the FOI. We understand that. But those who are just outside and they don't have no religion, they're not going, how can you help? What advice can you send to people in Memphis and DC, New York, Baltimore, LA, Atlanta, if they're not in the nation? You know, what can be done for them?
So one of the things that I was fortunate to experience is I've been a part of a program called Youth Challenge. I've been a program called Men's Rap. So some of my young brothers, some of who I've seen today, I've actually invited them out tomorrow. I still link with a lot of my little brothers. Some of them, I mentor young men from ages 18 to 25. You know, I work in the school system, you know what I'm saying? Salute to my bosses, man. I work with one of the best teams in the city of Baltimore, my man Green. You know what I'm saying? My big brother Tay, little sis Kenny, little sis, you know what I'm saying? Indy. So, you know what I'm saying? Salute to my boss, Brooks, they like family. So nonetheless, what I always tell brothers is this. We all have a religion being a way of life, right? So I was fortunate to sit in front of on the weekly basis, because I was the acting, student, everything on one location because I was the only FOI on that location. It's a long backstory of why the nation had fell on that location, et cetera, but I was the only one. And when I came down there, I'll never forget the first conversation that me and the chaplain on that location had. He said, brother, I know everybody try to be this big. I said, ho, let me stop you. I am nobody. I serve at the behest of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan through Mosque number 6 under the teaching and guidance of one of his students, Brother Salam, who I love to death. Back then we called him Brother Carlo. So when I came on the compound, I was the only one. There was some Pan-African brothers who I salute to this day that had held the nation down. And they said before, unbeknownst to me, that if a brother ever come down here who is serious, because few brothers that came, but anybody that ever been to prison, know that is one of the hardest posts to hold, because the nation are always outnumbered by 10, 15. So to be able to hold that post takes an extreme solid man who does not bend, who does not fold, and who does not be a hypocrite. So when I came in and I helped build the nation back up, I used to stand in front of 60 to 80 men per week. No security, nobody on post but me. And then, like I said, my brothers from the Pan-African world, 3, 4 of them, salute to them, Brother Johnny, they would come out and support me. And I would tell the brothers all the time, BGF members, Bloods, Crips, Murder Inc., leaders. I got pictures with these guys. I love I'm in contact with a lot of them to this day because I love them to death, because there's no such thing as bad organization. It's bad leadership. And I used to stand in front of these brothers. And if a brother was talking while I was on that podium, I would stop and call him and say, brother, answer my question. He said, why you do? I said, because if you're not listening to me, then it's obvious you already got the answers. And I would tell him all the time, I'm not. They say, bro, you don't like God. I say, no, I'm not. I'm at war with your mind. You're my brother, I love you. I'm at war with your mind, but I tell him all the time, if you are doing something that you are not proud of to pass on to your children, don't tell me you don't want your son to do this and you doing it, because you know something is wrong. So I tell them, this is what I always tell them. Be the best follower that you can be, which will make you a good leader. Make sure you're representing a particular thing, because like you said, and then I call them on the stuff that they say they represent. See, the thing about me is I don't try to whoop people or beat people for my belief system, for the things that I believe in. I don't. I listen to what you say. I read what it is that you say you stand for. And then I call you I put your feet to the fire for that. So when we do Black August, when they say, brother, can we run Black August with you for the month of Ramadan? I say, absolutely. But guess what we're going to do? We're going to come down here, we're going to all read this book. And every day somebody going to have to get up here and have something to say. I go behind enemy lines. And what I mean by that is I go into the room with these brothers. And I talk to them and they leaders in front of them. And I tell them, this is what you're doing. This is what you're not doing. And if you were doing what it is that you say you represent, then how have you become a parasite? How are we claiming phones and tables and showers that we don't own? Right? How is it that one day we was walking down the compound and it was about 40 of us coming from service, and the sister, a nurse, was walking and she got on the grass. And I stopped and told them, watch out. And I told her, walk the curtain. And then the next day we got back in service during the month of Ramadan. I said, what did y'all get from that yesterday? And then I said, man, our own people scared of us, bro. It's no way that woman should feel like she got to walk on the grass when she got 40 of her brothers walking down the compound. When you go to them other institutions, you don't see that. But it's because we so disrespectful. We so strung out on drugs that we don't even know what to do. So yeah, I tell them like this, pay attention and live up to what it is that you did. And then I call them, tell me something about your leader. Who is your leader? A lot of them don't even know. And that's the one thing, another thing that I love about the nation, that you have to study You can't just walk in there and say, I want to be this. I'm going to take my shahada and I'm this, and now you just sin. Because it ain't hard to get people to follow Islam. It's the most beautiful thing in the world, most discipline, most structure, most peace. Who don't want to follow that? But how can you get them to carry out the practices and let you teach them? That's the one thing I always used to tell people about the nation. The one thing the nation gave me is that character development. You ain't getting that a lot of places. That study guide, that 1 through 21. Man, listen, if they got a better book of medicine, then tell them produce it. Let me see it. The Quran, the Message of the Black Man, that study guide, and them are some of the books I read while I was in lockup.
Yes, sir.
You know
yes, sir.
So, and I said, you know, I went through that phase of like, when get there, because I had, I went through a couple prison rides and stuff. I went through going up in the mountains, experienced the racism thing and all that. So, you ignite me with that power, and then the body that I already got, the spirit, the fighter spirit. Of course, it was misdirected, but what else you thought you was gonna get coming up out of there? So of course, I'm guiding. So now I grab a hold of the young men. I grab them, I reach to them, and I tell them, yeah, don't give up. Don't lay down. Like they because the world did a number on us. Society did a number on us. The media did a number on us. Right? The school system, the prison, the pipeline did a number on us. But now we have an opportunity to do a number on ourselves. And Islam is mathematics.
Peace and beautiful, brother. All praise due to Allah. Thank you to everybody who continues to show love in the comments. I wanted to ask you, sir, about the segregation in prisons being by color, or depending on where you at, most of the time it's by race. Since it's by race, how come there's still internal fight if the Mexicans over here, then you got the Aryans and the different forms of the white nationalists and all of that's going on the black? How can you all still fight each other? Or was there ever a sense of unity versus other people? Was there ever black and white, like in movies, movie where he bites the curve, but the black man and the white man wind up having
American, so
American History X. Is that fairy tale, or does that ever happen?
No. So in the federal government, it's really not fairy tale. When you go in the federal government, you are not only segregated by color and race, you are also segregated by states.
Okay.
Right? In the state, you can do a little bit of both, but essentially there's still a major segregation. Now you're segregated in the states by organizations. Muslims, gang members, whites, Hispanics, and so on, and the list goes on. But the thing, even in the state of Maryland, they had created a thing they call, I don't want to be wrong, but it was like the Skid Row or something like that, where they basically took buildings, whole entire housing units, and gave it to various different organizations, right? But the violence didn't stop. So I have spoke about this several times in service, saying that here it is, you telling me that you got the answers, that what you have is the best thing to have. This is the end all be all. But then when you are afforded an opportunity to be basically on an island by yourself with your own kind, y'all start feeding off each other. So what is that telling you and I? That's telling us that you're missing something. So the mind of us as a people is bent. And being that it's bent, it has to be bent back. But being that it's already bent, you have to work twice as hard to bend it so it's just remotely close to where it's at. So the reason why we are sick, in essence of it, we're sick. We really need a doctor. We still need a doctor. So I told a brother recently, he had a conversation with me, and I won't really go into the conversation because I don't want to, ignite anything, right? Like, and ignite people in ideas and in minds to, have a misconception of what I'm trying to say. So what I will say is that I'm having a conversation with him, and to put it in a sense where everybody can understand it, he's telling me about how wrong the way how my community engagement is. You got it wrong, and you don't know what you're doing, and this ain't this, and I don't trust this and that. And I'm saying I love the black man, and you know what I mean, I love it. And while he talking to me, he's standing there with a drink in his hand and smoke in his hand. So I say to the brother, brother, you say you follow this individual and you love this individual and how I'm wrong and this is wrong and this, that, and other, right? He said, absolutely. I said, then brother, why you standing here killing yourself? Don't tell me how right you are and how righteous you are and how positive the guy that you follow, and then you're gonna stand in my face and kill yourself. And you're gonna stand, and then you're gonna try to attempt to serve a sister that walked past. Like, how ignorant are you? I say, and then when you pull your gun out, when you pull your pistol out, because I know you, because I knew myself. When you pull your pistol out, the first person you pointed at is yourself. Of course, he didn't get it. I don't commit no suicide. I'm not talking about the. I said, but you point the gun at the person that look just like you, bro. So don't sit here and tell me how righteous you are and how if you got the right thing, if it doesn't add up, if it needs to be all of us. If we can argue about, one time we was doing a community engagement, giving away food and clothing, and while we giving away, another brother come up and he asked me, "Oh, you are?" So I said, "Yes, sir." So he like, "Yeah, because you know the prophet had wild, and he get the prophet Muhammad." And I say, "Look, brother, do me a favor, just stop for 1 second." I say, "Just look around." So he looked around, because they out there doing community work too. So I said, "What you see?" He said, "I'm saying I see actually a whole bunch of homeless." I said, "You see our people down, bro." So we can argue about all that when our people up. Right now, we out here trying to uplift our people, man. Don't come to me talking about that, because all of us under the thumb, bro. So you want to keep arguing and bickering, and we ain't getting no work. We can't get no work done like that, bro. It's 10 people ain't been fed yet over there. You want to argue? You want to help? Grab a bag and go over there and take it to the people that can't get up and walk. Don't stand here arguing with me, because you wasting my time. It's people that need to be fed. It's people that need to be touched. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a final call in their hand. I'm going to offer them a good word. And I'm going to wait for the 8 minutes and 20 seconds that it takes the sun, the light, to strike 8:30, for wait till that blood rotate. And then I'm going to stand them up. And then my captain, who's a working captain, going to send us out into the field, and we're going to offer the people money, and we're going to bring them to the mall. And then my brothers who go out and get the van, my brother called, they're going to bring the vans out. And brother first, they're going to get the vans together, and they're going to bring the people in. And 8 going to walk in, and 8 going to walk out, but 2 going to come back in for FOI class. And then 2 months later, 1 going to be an FOI. So, you know what I'm saying? Don't tell me about, like, we can argue later, bro. We out here trying to save lives. And that's what I tell the people. Listen, if you ain't saving lives, man, if you're not solving the problem, then you are the problem. And that's whatever religion that you live in. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever your way of life is, because that's what religion is, a way of life. If it is not producing for you and your peoples, then you are a problem. And you need to just sit down somewhere and leave it to the job of the people and the man who has been on the scene 70 plus years putting in work and has not let the people down yet. I'm trying to tell you.
Yes, sir. Beautiful. All praises to all you teaching. Thank you very much. Excellent job. Thank you all for showing love in the comments as well, sir. On a lighter note, what type of music do you enjoy listening to, sir?
Oh man, it's why I love slow music, right?
Okay.
Like talking about like my man John Legend. Like I keep the slow music on. Now when I'm working out, I just stumbled onto this little brother. So I like a lot of different genres. So certain songs might buy me, like Lil Baby bought me with the It's Bigger Than Black and White, the Bigger Picture.
Yes,
like certain songs might buy me. So the little brother that I listen to now is Finesse 2 Times, right?
Okay, yeah.
And I think the reason why I really got stuck on this little brother And it's because it resonates with me. Boosie resonates with me because of the experience that they talk about in their music. Like, I can really relate to being left for dead. I can really relate to the world just moving on. I can really relate to the people who you put your life on the line for just going on with their life. And I can also relate to coming back from that to be able to be in the world and try to produce something for myself and kind. That's who I listen to when I'm working out. And then occasionally when I want to get real hype, I throw the minister on. And this might sound crazy. I throw the minister on when I'm working out. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Hey, Sister Ava Muhammad. So yeah, I throw the sister on and I get busy.
Yeah, right. Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Our last question that we have for you is, what would you like your legacy to be, sir?
I want my legacy to be an individual who went to prison as a 17-year-old kid who couldn't read, who couldn't write, who went in prison, who rose to the top of the prison food chain in the wrong way, and then used that power to transition other people into the right direction, who began mentoring, who found the teachings, the life-giving, life-saving teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, through his star student, and that helped change his life, who fell into the ranks of the Nation of Islam while he was in prison, who wrote multiple books, came out in the process of turning those books into movies, who built a clothing line that represents some of what he stands for, who does amazing community work, who's boots on the ground, who serves a working captain, a working imam, working lieutenants, working brotherhood, who loves soldiering, who loves being in the streets with final calls, bean pies, who loves engaging the community, who loves being around my first officer, Brother Isaiah, and then who came out here, and I always look at finding a good mate, like finding a good cell buddy in prison. So anybody been in prison know that having a good cell buddy is like half your bit. Like, because no matter what's going on outside the cell, the last thing you want to come in the cell and have to deal with a dude that you don't like when you're in a closed space like that for years. So I want to be the brother who came out here and met the most beautiful woman that he has ever met in his life, who has recently become a registered member of the Nation of Islam, MGT.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I want to make her my wife because that is half of my Islam.
Yes, sir.
And that secures our nation, further secures it. And I want to be a man and a brother and an FOI with an aim, with a purpose, who gives love, peace, justice, harmony, understanding, knowledge, wisdom. And I want to serve Allah by serving my mother, by serving my community, by standing in line with them restrictive laws, by being the best FOI, by being the best soldier in the nation, Mosque number 6. I want to look to the best examples. But all that being said, I want to be a brother to my people, a father to my children, a husband to my wife. And I want to be somebody that my nieces and nephews can be proud of, that they can look to. Not so much to be just like me, although that would be lovely too, but just as an example. I want to be an example. I tell my students every day, all the children and all the little brothers and sisters that I work with, I tell them every day, I am an example. And I want to be an example for my brothers and sisters that I left behind the prison wall, to let them know that when you're given a second chance and an opportunity at life, when you come from behind those walls, which is essentially death, all you can do is live. All it is up. And I like to say this last thing, because I always say this. my brother, who was my lieutenant, my brother Anthony Muhammad. He used to laugh at me all the time when I go through things. And one time I asked him, like, why you always laugh when I'm doing something and something drive me crazy? You know, coming out of the system, you know, you learn different things. And he said to me, brother, a bad day out here is worth 1,000 days, good days behind that wall. And ever since then, that is my model for everything. And, you know, and I just like to take the time to salute my queen, man, the sister, my fiance, Sister Kim, for everything that she puts up with, dealing with me, putting up with me, building me, being my peace, my serenity, and
beautiful,
letting me know that when I come from the world, when I come from out in the world fighting, you know, to prove myself, to prove my position, because there's still naysayers who don't believe that your brother should have had a second chance. She is there to comfort me and to help me along. So I definitely want to salute her, because she is one of the reasons that, next to Allah, that I'm so successful out here in this world. Allah, which Allah entails the mosque and my teachings. And yes, I would say that.
All praises for beautiful. Shout out to your queen, brother. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And shout out to everybody who you mentioned. Shout out to Mosque number 6 and all of the believers. And shout out to our wonderful poet, Sister Salima, out of Mosque.
Oh,
yes, sir. Who's been on multiple times. Always does a great job. Shout out to all the believers. Shout out to on the sister. You know, the sisters. Those are my aunties who watched me grow up.
Oh,
so shout out to Sister Student Captain Leslie and
absolutely,
and all of them. You know, that's family. Thank Allah for them. Thank Allah for you, sir. Meeting and inshallah, I may have the honor of meeting you one day in person, so we can.
We gonna make that happen. I'm telling you, we gonna make that happen. I've been to Chicago. You know what I'm saying? Good. I met AP, you know, the regional love that brother there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you know, like I said, it's really an honor, you know, for me to come from where I come from, to be able to soldier with the brothers that I soldier with, and to soldier under, you know, the brother Imam, brother Abdul Salam, and to soldier under Captain Andrew, Student Captain Andrew. Like it is an honor, you know what I'm saying, to have met the regional, you know, brother Cap. I haven't, you know, a regional Cap, brother Ern. Like it's just an honor to meet some of the pioneers, you know, and to be around the men that I'm around, the FOIs, the lieutenants. It's just brother first. Like these guys, I look to these men, you know, and I admire them, and I listen to them. I take heed, and I really strive. I get up every day and I strive to be one of the best examples for these teachings, because they really work. You know, they really work. They saved my life. Like they saved my life, man. And I was dead. You know, it was over. And I was not only like dead, I was literally dead, like mentally. You know, when you can rob and steal and cheat your own people and then smile in their face, you dead, man. You understand? So, you know, it just, so now it's like all I want to do is live. I want to be the best example, man. I want to stop the next generation from suffering what we had to suffer. So I bust my tail as much as often as I can to go to work, man. And I thank you, bro. And I want to thank you, brother Joshua. Like, it's an honor. You know what I mean? It's a pleasure. I want to salute the brother who introduced us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? I want to, you know, I want to thank you for this platform.
Thank you, sir.
For affording me an opportunity to come on here and be heard. And I want to end with, if we're about to end, I would love to end with what Islam has done for me, so to speak.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I was recommended for parole on Master Fard Muhammad's birthday. I went up for parole on Master Fard Muhammad's birthday. I was in the bullpen. I'll never forget it. And brother said to me, I was dressed up. I was in FOI attire as much as I could be in prison, bow tie, white shirt. And the brother said, "This your first time going up for parole?" I said, "They say, they called me by my last name. Hey, player, you think you got the worst, man, show you all that stuff you done did?" I say, "Brother, I'm not no hypocrite. When I was living in the mud, I took that thing serious. Everybody knew it. And when I changed my life, I took it very serious. Everybody knew it." So when I went in there, the people told me when I first walked in there, "This your first parole?" And I said, "Yes, sir." They say, "Well, let me tell you what we not going to do. We not going to recommend you for parole. We not going to deny you because you was a juvenile." And they commenced to tell me what they wasn't going to do. But the law had a different plan. This is Master Fard Muhammad's birthday. Let's talk about it. You hear me? So we get to talking, and we, when I'm telling them, and tears falling, and I'm busting it down. And they say, "What's the last thing you want us to remember?" I say that I want to be judged for the man I am today and not the little boy I was when I came into the prison system. They came back and they said, "Delmont, what we told you we wasn't going to do, we absolutely going to do. I'm talking about immediately I fell to my knees and offered salat. Alhamdulillah." That was the first thing. February, a good month for me now. Then I got released on February the 5th, 2024, which was my father's birthday.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I met the love of my life on February the 10th, 5 days out of prison. Who, inshallah, I looked to marry.
Yes, sir.
Then on February the 16th, which is my birthday, after writing my first letter, I became a registered member of the Nation of Islam. And then I went to my first Savior's Day. February has been a great month for me, brother. And that's the month that our messenger, that Allah, as we know it in the form of Master Fard Muhammad, was born in. So I'm telling you, and I was also born in. So I'm just saying the cycle of events, of things. And so I just wanted to lay that out there, man, because I wrote a letter to the Final Call at that time about what the nation had, what Islam has done for me. And I just want to say that's what Islam has done. It stood me up. It took what I already was. And it put that FOI board in my back.
Yes, sir.
It stood me up. It put them teachings, them life-giving, life-saving teachings in my heart and in my chest. And it took the knot out my tongue. It took the fear out of my thoughts. And now I speak the truth regardless of the circumstances. I walk tall. I walk like an FOI. I stand like an FOI. I move like an FOI. I love my minister, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I adore this man. He is the best father, brother, cousin, everything, friend that I have ever had. I love the Honorable Minister, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, although I never met him. He is the best grandfather, uncle, brother, anything I have ever had. I adore in my supreme captain. And the list goes on. Regional, imam, cap, lieutenants, and you, my brother. All we done to you, I thank you. I salute you.
Thank you, sir.
It was an honor and a pleasure to meet you on this platform to talk about the teachings that saved my life.
Yes, sir.
I'm a FOI in heart. I'm a FOI in deeds. I'm an FOI in actions. All praise be to Allah.
All praise be to Allah. And brother, you got the chat on fire. Thank you to everybody who continues to show love to our brother. Thank you. This is Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off for the People's Podcast. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum assalam, sir.
Thank you all very much for